They say, is this what is mentioned in the Quran? That the sun does not rotate about the axis? I said, no, no, no. This is what I learned in school in 1982. About 28 years back, when I was in school. I learned in school that the sun, though it revolved in the universe, it did not rotate about its own axis. But Quran says in Surah Anbiya, chapter 41, verse number 33, it is He who has created the night and the day. The sun and the moon. Each one traveling in orbit with its own motion. The Arabic word used here is yasbahun, derived from Arabic word sabaha, which describes the motion of a moving body. When I use this word yasbahun or sabaha for a person who is on the floor, it will not mean he is rolling on the floor, it will mean he is either walking or running on the floor. If I use it for a person in water, it will not mean he is floating, it will mean he is swimming. Similarly, when the Quran mentions this word for a celestial body, it will not mean it is flying in the air, it will mean it is moving while it is rotating about its own axis. So Quran says the sun and the moon, besides revolving, it also rotates about its own axis. And today, with a special equipment, you can have the image of the sun on a tabletop, and we see that the sun has got black spots. And it takes approximately 25 days for these black spots to complete one rotation, indicating that the sun takes about 25 days to complete one rotation. And today, if you go to school, you will find that this thing has been incorporated in the school textbooks. That the sun is not stationary, it rotates about its own axis. So what you came to know 30 years back, 40 years back, is mentioned in the Quran 1400 years ago. Who could have mentioned this in the Quran? That the sun rotates about its own axis? And the atheists will be silent. Don't wait for an answer. Today science tells us that the sunlight we have is due to a chemical reaction taking place. And this is taking place in billions of years. And one day, this chemical reaction will stop. And the sun will cease to exist, and so will life on the face of the earth. But the scientists say this will take another couple of billion years. This is what the scientists discovered a couple of hundred years before. Quran mentioned 1400 years ago in Surah Yasin, chapter 36, verse 58. That the sun is running its course for a period determined, for a term determined, to a place determined. Today science tells us that one day the sun will extinguish and it will stop. That means it is there for a particular period. Science also tells us that the sun, along with the solar system, it is moving to a point in the universe which is called as Herculean, called as Alpha Lyra, at a speed of 12 miles per second to a point which is called as solar apex. The Quran says the sun is there for a period determined and moving to a point determined. And today science tells us the same thing. What science tells us today, Quran has mentioned 1400 years ago. Who could have mentioned this in the Quran? The atheists will be silent. Don't wait for it. Today science tells us that the atmosphere that we have above the earth, it prevents the harmful radiation from entering the earth. If this atmosphere, the sky, wouldn't have been there, the ultraviolet rays and the X-rays would have entered and life would not be sustainable on the face of the earth. It is due to this atmospheric layer, the sky, which gives sustenance to life. Quran says in Surah Anbiya, chapter 21, verse 22, that is He who has created the sky as a protected ceiling, as a protected canopy. Quran says that the sky, the atmosphere, with a protected ceiling, which science has discovered recently. 50 years back, 100 years back. Quran mentioned this 48 years ago. I would like to ask you that how many states of matter are there? How many states of matter are there? We learned in school. How many states of matter are there? How many? 3. Solid, liquid, gas, correct? Right or wrong? How many states of matter are there? Many people are saying 3. I can hear one voice saying 4. When I was in school, I had learned there are 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. And the scientists, they said that the space outside the organized astronomical systems, they are vacuum. But recently, just a few decades earlier, scientists have discovered that there are bridges of matter outside the organized astronomical systems, which they call as plasma. This science today says is the 4th state of matter. Quran mentions in Surah Quran, chapter 25, verse 59. It is He who has created the heaven and the earth and has created even things in between them. So the Quran says there is not only vacuum between the heaven and the earth, there is something in between, which today science calls it as the 4th state of matter, that is plasma. What science has discovered a few decades earlier, Quran mentions 1400 years ago. Who could have mentioned that? The same message about the 4th state of matter is also mentioned in Surah Luqman, chapter 31, verse 29. In Surah Zumar, chapter 39, verse 5. To the famous scientist by the name of Edwin Hubble, and he said, and he discovered, which was one of the greatest discoveries of the last century. He said that our universe is expanding. It is receding. Quran mentions in Surah Al-Dariyat, chapter 51, verse 47. It is He who has created the vastness of space, the expanding universe. That will be worded Muksiona. The Quran says that the universe is expanding, with the scientists that discovered this. Who could have mentioned this in the Quran 40 years ago? And atheists would decide. There may be certain skeptics who will say, it is nothing great that the Quran speaks for astronomy because the Arabs were advanced in the field of astronomy. I do agree with these skeptics that the Arabs were advanced in the field of astronomy. But it was after the Quran was revealed that the Arabs became advanced in the field of astronomy and not the vice versa. That's the reason it is from the Quran that the Arabs learn about astronomy and not the vice versa. After the Quran was revealed, when the Arabs read the Quran, they were advanced in the field of astronomy. Let's discuss physics. There's a very famous theory known as atomism, which was first performed in 23 centuries ago by the Greeks, known as Democrats. And they believed that the smallest part of matter is atom, which cannot be divided. And this was even known to the Arabs. And in Arabic, the atom was called as Zarra, theory of atomism. But today, and the Quran also speaks about Zarra, Quran also says it's the smallest part. But today, after science has advanced, we have come to know that though atom is the smallest part of matter, having the characteristics of the element, it too can be divided. So people will think, now the Quran is outdated. The Quran speaks about Zarra.